All right, Katya, we're gonna go there today. We're gonna go.
Oh, oh, it hurts so good. Oh, I took a little stretch. Like really, you could just tackle me with all the things.
I had to dance. I had to dance before we got on this call together because I was like, I wanted to be in all of my relaxed sensuality to be able to like hold space for this conversation that is sort of like, we had a little chat before, like where, what's coming through the collective, what's moving through us. And, it was like love and money and how it's related. And yeah, so that just it feels like a really sweet space.
What did you dance to? What song?
There's this song called Constant Crush that I just never tire of. The group is called Verite, and it's like the Mansionaire remix. Sick beats.
I love it. Okay, I'm gonna put it on as soon as we're done. I love
Okay.
finding jam songs. Mine was maybe a bit cliche, but I put on Love is the New Money, that song.
Yes, I like that one. Yes.
It just felt so fitting to prepare for this conversation because we've had the best voice note exchanges lately about this very thing,
Mhm.
about love and money. And I've had experiences of just listening to your voice on a WhatsApp voice note and me just going, oh, oh, like, really, because it's truth, right? And that's how you know, because you feel it in your body.
Yes, the truth will ping.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And it's funny because when you and I were going back and forth about like, oh, what's coming through today? What wants to be like what wants to be addressed or what wants to be like brought in. I started to have memories of periods in my life where maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but like thinking of seasons in my life where like love and relationships were incredibly abundant. And it was just like coming from all directions. And then there have been seasons where it was like heartbreak after heartbreak after heartbreak. And I was like, what the fuck? I can't get this right. Like I can't seem to make a relationship work. Right.
Mm.
And so I was thinking about that in the sort of money sense of like sometimes we have seasons where like we're in a dry spell. Like the business is not making money. Like, what the hell? Like, I'm putting all this effort in. And then it's like, it's raining, you know? So, and then, but we make meaning, out of both of those scenarios, we make a lot of meaning out of it. And sometimes it's just like, there isn't a lot of meaning to be made. It's just kind of what is. That's sort of what I was thinking about before coming onto the call.
Oh, I'm so glad you bring this up because I feel like there's this tug of war, especially in our, I would say, more finely attuned community.
Yeah.
Attuned to, there's many ways to say that, but I'll keep it nice and diplomatic. Uh, there's this tug of war between wanting to do things right and staying consistent with our morning routines and staying consistent.
Yeah.
Consistency, like everywhere, right? Consistency is a
Yeah.
good thing. We can agree, all
Yeah.
agree on that. And on the other side of this rope that we're tugging on is the cyclical nature of everything around us, right?
Mhm.
Cyclical nature of our bodies, the day and night, the inhale, exhale. When we look around in nature, when we look at our even at our own bodies, it is fucking impossible to keep shit consistent. There is
Yeah.
going to, you can't be inhaling forever, right? You can't. So even when we get to a place where there's consistency in our relationship with a human that we love, consistency in the money that's coming in, let me tell you something. If you're having a human experience on this planet, odds are shit's gonna go down, right? Like we've
Yes.
all had heartbreak, deep heartbreak, beautiful lessons in that. We've all experienced hopefully falling in love and the abundance that comes even energetically when we're in love, it seems like everything is coming to us, right?
Yes, yes.
And then when our heart is broken, it feels on the contrary, like the country song, right? Where like the dog dies and you lose a job and like all, all
Right. It's
this.
just kind of like a cascade of
Yeah. So
of
if
failure.
anything, I feel like it would be just such an exhale, such a like somatically even. Like, can we just relax into the understanding that as much as we want to do the right thing and keep a consistent flow when it comes to money and with love, we're going to experience different seasons.
Yes. And even the sort of the, when you think about what you see online, right? The promise of consistent 10K months, right? Or
Oh, yeah.
consistent clients, right? Just, it just doesn't work that way. And, if
Oh,
it does for you, awesome, right? But I think for most of us, when I think about, I'm very connected to nature. You are as well. And thinking about, yes, the cyclical nature, but also the chaos. You watch any nature program and you will see it's like, oh, it's fucking, there's order in it, but it's like, it looks fucking chaotic.
yeah,
You know?
for sure. For sure. I love it. I also feel like people really love stories. Like I really love stories. So
Yeah.
what's coming through for us right now? Should we tell some juicy stories of heartbreak and
Yes. I feel like sharing mine because it feels like very strongly like, yes, talk about this.
yes.
Yeah, I feel like, you know, when I was, after I was separated and I was in the process of getting a divorce, I was doing a lot of money healing work because I had, come out of my marriage where there was a lot of money trauma and like that cycle of like make money and then the next day it's gone because it paid all these like back pay on bills and debt and all of, and it's like, oh my God, it didn't even last in my bank account. Where did it go? And then like dinking and doinking it like for the rest of the month with groceries, that kind of thing. So I came out of that like really determined to heal like all the generational trauma around money and sort of that cycle that was really trauma based and not natural. And so as I was doing my money healing, I also at the same time kind of got into polyamory. It just kind of happened at the same time. And I had this epiphany as I was bringing new people into my life and feeling this like, oh, I am putting my energy towards this one person, and this one person is kind of like more occupied than I would like them to be.
Uh-huh.
But I'm getting it from this person. Like I'm investing it here, but I'm getting it here. And then I understood all of a sudden the flow of money through the experience of the flow of love. And I was like, oh. And then I started to observe it with money everywhere. Like,
Oh,
oh, I thought I was going to get money from here, but it came from this random thing that I didn't know that I was going to get. I was just like, oh, random check from like this insurance thing, or I don't know, or just my dad would send me like $200. It was just, I was like, oh, this is real magic. And I started to sort of play in that area more. And so that was my reality for a while. And then at the end of 2021, my year ended in like a big heartbreak, like my big love, like or the new person that I was seeing after divorce was like ended it so suddenly, and it was like such a shock to my system. And for the whole next year, I couldn't make a single relationship work. And my business also started to like bloop, 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 bloop. And it was like, and I'm attentive, I'm attuned, like I'm all the things, right? And I just one after the other, people kept saying no to me, or there were people that I said no to because it wasn't in alignment. As much as I liked them, it just my spirit was like not there. And I don't know, I wanted to share that story because it's like there is that movement of like sometimes it's inexplicable, like why it's not working. And it was 2022 was a terrible year in that sense. And I've also gotten to this point where like I am one of those people who really believes in like doing the inner work of money and expansion, nervous system expansion and trauma healing and ancestral whatnot. And there are some things you just can't fucking control
Mm.
that are maybe part of your astrological chart, or that are just, it's your turn to experience the dark night of the soul. And this is how you're going to experience it. And some, like, life decides that for you. And you're just like, okay, I surrender to it. That's, all right, cool. I receive that, right? Versus what I want to receive, and sometimes that just is what it is. And we just ride it out and get it, receive as much of the learning as possible, right? That's also medicine, that's also receiving. And sometimes we forget because we only want to receive the good shit, the stuff that feels good. But receiving also happens in receiving all of life, letting life penetrate you fully, right? And
Mm.
sometimes that means like, the medicine doesn't taste so good.
This is so juicy, Isha. Whoa. Oh, so many threads to pull at. I really want to highlight and zero in on this idea that you can invest in one place expecting reciprocity, but actually reciprocity is much more intelligent in the design, like in the design
Yes.
of this whatever matrix video game, whatever we're in.
Yes.
It can surprise you and delight you and come from a different place.
Yes.
And it seems like you had a very unique experience. Mm, Unique because polyamory, I think for most of our listeners is maybe something that they've been curious about, but a unique experience. You've seen this abundance and this flow of energy in a really extraordinary way. And I'm sure, I hope all of us have had this experience that if you are in a tight spot and you're praying for something to shift, an unexpected amount of money will come, right? It could be a
Yeah.
friend, it could be a check in the mail that you absolutely did not expect. That seems to be how this game is designed.
Yeah.
It's meant to really open us up so that we have no other choice but to have faith.
Yes.
And there
Exactly.
will be these little miracles, right? And
Yes. Yes.
like I can think of so many examples where the amount that I needed actually comes in and it is so damn exact, it is so precise that it really feels like the universe winking at you.
Do you have a
Oh,
story about
like
that?
how could you ever? Yeah. Oh my gosh, I have so many. Yeah. I feel like I really want to share two, and I'll try to make them quick. But and one of them you witnessed me bawling my eyes out. So I'm actually going to take this back to a very vulnerable confession about a money pattern that I've had for many years, and it definitely feels ancestral. My ancestors, most recent ancestors are Ukrainian. I was born there. And the pattern that I'm talking about is a feast and famine. There's, it's not unique to me for sure. There's many people who like, yeah, like an amount of money comes in and you're like, yay, I can do so much with it. And then sooner than you can blink, it feels like it just vanishes through your fingers, right? So I've had this pattern show up for many years, feast and famine. So a large feast, large amount of money will come in, famine, somehow I bring it, I manifest bringing it down to zero, even if I don't want to, in air quotes, something will happen to completely wipe it out. And so I, the first time that I noticed it was many years ago. I was living in the Caribbean. I had a thriving photography business, but at that time, I didn't really have many expenses. And although like really significant money was coming in, I wasn't very good at saving per se. And so there was a moment where I was like, okay, I'm going to get my shit together, Katya, like open a jar, open a different bank account and like start dropping money in. And it was a particularly busy wedding season where within maybe like 6 weeks, I was able to put away $12,000 US. Like I
Nice.
was working my butt off, right? But it felt significant. I made the decision. That felt good to make a decision to save.
Yeah.
And then within a short amount of time, that felt really empowering, really good to be like, okay, cool. And so I remember looking at this new bank account, feeling so proud of myself, thinking, I wait to watch it grow. Maybe this will turn into a down payment on a condo or something like that. I don't know, maybe like 20, 23, 24. So within, I would say like 3 or 4 days of me feeling super, super proud, something happened. I had a woman helping me around the house, Carmen, who became like my matriarch, my family. So this was in Dominican Republic. And so she was helping with the house. She was helping me with some admin things. And she was a bit older. She came to me crying. And I could see that it was something very serious because she was never like that. And I said, Carmen, what's wrong? And she said, I don't even know how to tell you this, but um, I just fell and I have a shoulder injury and it's been bugging me and I didn't want to tell you. And I went to see a doctor and I need surgery. And I just realized that my health insurance lapsed. And so she, her voice was shaking and she confessed to me like I was her only hope of, paying for the surgery.
Yes.
Guess how much the surgery cost?
$12,000. Hmm.
Precisely.
Ah,
So I had
wow.
this moment of like, okay, wait a minute. Of course, I'm going to pay for Carmen's surgery. And there's something going on here. There's something else going on here.
Yes.
Like, how? Like, what are the chances? And of course, when something like this happens, it can feel very emotional. It can feel triggering. It can feel hopeless. All of these things get to be true, right? In our experience of feeling like, oh my God, I saved this up and now it's vanished. Does it even matter? Like any time that I try to save, all my savings get wiped out by some unexpected bill.
Yeah.
So all of these feelings get to be true. And it's an invitation to go deeper and look at, okay, like how am I manifesting this? What is the underlying energy or maybe energetic loop that's playing out, right? So that, I'll never forget that. And of course I paid for the surgery and she was very happy and but I really for a long time I was like, I had trauma from that. I'm like, I don't want to put money in that stupid account again. Like, what else is gonna happen? And
No
we all
kidding.
feel like someone's gonna come and take this from us.
Right. And that, right, that can trigger a wound as well, right? Because when your ancestors have had and have had things taken away from them or have lost in a famine, for example, right? Then that can get activated, right? And of course, that's an opportunity to sort of like that's where you go deeper, but damn,
Yeah.
we weren't expecting that.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And then to share a quick story, that's the kind of the
The
yin to
flip
the yang
side,
or
yeah.
the yang to the yin is yeah, it's been really humbling that, as a breadwinner for my family, I've been working my ass off and I've done really beautiful big projects that are massively abundant and it's more money that I've ever seen in my whole life and it feels like oh my gosh I can do everything with this money. But then again, these patterns are really tricky because it does not actually matter how much money comes in. If that pattern is alive,
Exactly.
it'll just come in. And so for some people it may look like in addition to being very responsible with this money, you might be generous in a couple of places and be like, it feels good, I can be really generous like this and like that. But because of this pattern of like I better spend this so quick that nobody takes it away from me,
Exactly. Exactly.
right?
I will get rid of it.
Yeah. I put it in all the good places, all the good places, a little bit here, a little bit there. So I did that. And I've stretched myself really, really thin. And I'm building a home for my family and for my kiddos. I have 4 little ones. And for the first time in my life, I was in a place where I had to tell my construction crew to stop working because I couldn't pay them.
Yeah.
And that felt really all the things, right? Like, what do you feel? Embarrassment, shame, a bit of guilt because they're relying on this money to feed their families, right? Like all of the things. And then like also shame because like I did it again. Ugh,
Mm-hmm.
how did I do this again? How? I thought I could make it, but then again, unexpected costs showed up. Doesn't matter. We arrive at the same situation. And this is the point, interestingly, where we get to remind ourselves to have faith, because really that's the only thing that remains is faith.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's like, what else am I going to do? Like, teach me, work through my
Yes.
hands, work through my lips, right?
Yes.
And so we were together in Vegas, and it was a totally unexpected wad of cash that I was not expecting, for a beautiful collaboration, right? That
Yeah.
unfolded last year that I was not expecting at all. And there we were, you were there, and I'll never forget this moment. We were, cutting through our like beautiful $100 Wagyu beef steaks. Uh, and yeah, I opened this little envelope and I was speechless. I just
Yeah. Yeah.
bawled my eyes out because this amount of money on a check was like literally what I need to keep things going,
Mm-hmm.
to keep in the flow of reciprocity, right?
Yes. Yes.
So it's like it's almost like we need these moments in our story, in this unfolding script of our lives.
Yeah.
These are the music notes that make
Mm-hmm.
the song interesting to listen to.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. You're reminding me of something that happened in 2018, I think. Yeah. In at the end of August. And my ex-husband had borrowed a significant amount of money, and I was kind of like, okay, pay me back. We had our money together, but there were parts of our money that we had separate, and this was the separate part. So I was like, okay, so when are you going to pay me back? When are you going to pay me back? Yeah, next month, next month, next month. And it wasn't coming. And things were already sort of rough between us. So I was kind of like, I want my money, right? I was like feeling that kind of energy. And on the way down to a somatic class that I was taking, I had a car accident, and I was injured in the car accident. I mean, not significantly, but my sternum was bruised. I burned my hand with the that poofy thing. What's it called?
The
The
airbag.
airbag. And then uh, when all is said and done, right, the car was totaled, but the payment we received from the insurance was the exact amount that he had borrowed, and I put it directly in my bank account.
Oh, look at that.
And it
Look
was
at
one
that.
of those moments where I remember having the car accident, and I remember immediately like sitting back in my seat, kind of like bouncing back in my seat and being like, why did this happen? Like,
Mm.
wait, what is going on? And I saw this falcon flying overhead, and I was like, okay, all right. I'm open because I knew that something was gonna come, like this was tied into this matrix, this fabric of like the bigger plan. And I was like, all right, show me the bigger plan because I'm here for it. So I
Full
think,
body shivers over here
yeah.
with like seeing the falcon.
And sometimes like it is faith. It is that trust of like trusting that you are held even in moments where you don't feel like it, or where you feel sometimes we get into the story of like the universe fucking hates my ass right now because this is happening, right? But when I look back, the universe is always kind of like, and here's the lesson, and here's the lesson. And it is gentle, even though at the moment it feels harsh, and then you come out of it and there's sometimes it softens you. It's kind of like, oh, there's there's medicine for me. And then like when we share it in a space like this, it's medicine for other people. It
Mhm.
normalizes, it humanizes, it just kind of it's kind of a surrender process of like, yeah, it's messy. It's okay.
Wow. Was that the point at which you thought, wow, this might mean actually my marriage like needs an airbag too?
Oh no, that moment came, yes, a couple months later, where I basically opened our accounting books, right? There weren't any accounting books, but let's metaphorically speaking, right? I opened up accounting books and I was like, this is totally messed up. This is like botched. This is like, like a botched surgery. Like, oh, I thought you were going to do this good job. And this is like disfigured. This is completely disfigured finances. I got to get out. Like, this is not getting better. And that was just like the moment. And ironically, in that moment, I had $30,000 in my savings account. And at that same time as I noticed the these botched finances, he lost his job. And so those $30,000 went to finances his new business so that I could get free.
Ooh,
So it's like it's been such a journey for me of like, there have been dark nights of the soul for me where I've been like where I've had those moments of like the universe hates my ass right now, or like I cannot get out of this like really truly karmic debt. Um and 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 then when I get out of that, when I move through that, I'm kind of just like, all right, okay. I feel very like in acceptance and really much at peace with it, which is the for me the best place to be. And just like I'm just doing the best that I can and putting my foot forward. And as thinking about like all the shame, right, that we have around money. Like I work in financial services. Like, how awful is it that, I have been in these situations. It's like, yeah, like because this is life. Like sometimes you get cancer, sometimes people die, like things just happen, right? And we don't often know why. Sometimes maybe there's a why that comes down the road, but sometimes there isn't any that comes. And that's part of the surrender process as well, is like, okay, so I don't know. I'm gonna sit in the boat and kind of I'm going along with the ride. Yeah.
I love the specific wording that you used with that $30,000 shenanigans. You said you financed that business so that you could get free. And just if you don't mind me reflecting back to you, how empowered and badass that is. And I'm sure that there was a lot of work that you did to get to this place. But it feels so clean when you said that because I have my own stories with, significant ex-significant others.
Yeah.
Um, but when we get to a place where we can tell the story without resentment or
Yes.
stickiness,
Yes.
I just really want to applaud you for because you said it just rolled off your tongue, but I know that it's not easy to get to a place
Yes.
like that. Or maybe it is, but it still doesn't change the fact that it's absolutely badass.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. No, that's been a journey. And, in full transparency, I still have conversations with my ex. He's not on this earth anymore. But we'd have conversations where I'm just like, damn, damn motherfucker. And we kind of have a giggle about it now. So and there are times where I still feel really like helpless or angry, and then like that's my, right? That's my the emotion work is for me like like moving the energy of those emotions is where I then find that peace again, and that faith and that trust, right?
Yeah.
Coming back to that, not hanging out there for very long, letting myself feel it, and then coming right back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even the way that we talk about, so I'm thinking about relationships and money at the same time and the language that we use. And we say things like, I lost, right? I lost my
Yes.
investments. Like I failed, I lost.
Yes, exactly. I failed. And yeah, sometimes we use that language like I failed at marriage. Well, if you put in everything that you could, if you turned over every stone to make it work, you didn't fail. That was success. Your investment, your willingness to invest was the success. Your willingness to be vulnerable, your willingness to go all in perhaps was the success, you know?
And we should be able to say the same thing about money.
Yeah, yeah. I lost some money in crypto. Was it earlier this year? I forget. I think it was. No, it was last April, May, June. And I that didn't like that did affected me zero because the triumph of having overcome my fear and terror of investing in crypto was the reward for me. That was already like the win. Whether or not it like, paid me back in tangible ways was like a side dish. It was like dessert. For me, it was like I overcame this huge hurdle. I did it by myself and I cried through the process, but when I did it, I was like, I'm a badass. I'm a
Yeah.
badass and I'm going to do it again. So losing the money was kind of like whatevs. But yeah, sometimes like we have to like think beyond the tangible to see like where is the reward really, like where is the learning and the medicine, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
remember seeing your bio on your Instagram for the first time. I mean, your whole account is just so stunning and eloquent. And anytime there's a post that comes up of yours, like I drop everything and I like read. I don't skim. You know how people don't read shit anymore, but I read everything you write. And I read wealth activist, and then you say that it's spiritual, no BS, spiritual somatic
Money
money
work. Yeah.
work
Work
work.
it.
And I remember just being so mesmerized and like I get it, but also what is that? So maybe in the context of even the patterns that we're talking about. I'm
Yes.
I'm just so curious. Like I can just imagine you in the car with the airbag in your face, right? And all like all of the epiphanies. And ironically, like you were on your way to a somatic class, right?
Yeah, yeah.
How can we like let's talk about how to use these tools. Like what do we do with the mess of the human experience?
Oh my God. The alchemy.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, like I was saying just a few moments ago, like the emotional work, the
Mm,
emotional movement specifically, right? Because it's really easy for us, like state informs what we believe, right? Our nervous system state informs our thought patterns. And we have patterns in our nervous system as well, and then they inform pattern thoughts. And so for me, it is really holding the space for my experience, like from this observer self, noticing like, oh, I'm noticing these thought loops, interesting, but I'm not getting like caught up in them. I'm not in the water. I'm kind of like hovering above the water and I'm just like, oh yeah, it's the tide's looking a little rough, and then if I am feeling, let's say I'm feeling money shame, I don't, because I know what shame feels like. It feels just like that, almost like that dark sludge or like that warm wash of just like ick. It feels like a little bit like a rat dying in the corner of your basement. It's just like smelly there and just like
ugh.
waiting for it to like pass. I know, very graphic, but that's how I experience it in my body. It's just kind of this, oh. And so I don't get lost in the story of the shame. I don't believe this ticker tape of like shameful thoughts that are in my head. I'm just kind of like, I'm letting them pass. I'm letting them kind of like run its course. Like, all right, yeah, talk all you want. I'm just gonna let you like talk until you get tired of talking. And eventually it just kind of, and then it's gone. Right? And especially if you can, this is really important. This is what I like really teach, the core teaching. If you can observe your thoughts and just observe them without getting caught up in them and feel what you're feeling in your body without believing the thoughts, that's when the thought and the and the state and the thinking, they just kind of unhook.
Mm.
They're not kind of glommed together, not overcoupled. So when you can do that, they eventually just kind of poof, like the 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 hold just kind of, it doesn't have anything to hang on to, and it just loosens,
Like the
and
charge.
the charge, right? The charge is kind of like and it just dies off, right? And then the thoughts die off. And so then when things happen, like losing that money in crypto, there was no charge. It was kind of like, right? And so for me, the absence of charge is the peace,
Mm.
is that kind of like,
Ah.
all right, we're good. There's enough coming in, right? That state of no charge allows us to feel safer with money. It allows us to have that faith in crunchy moments. It allows us to step into deeper trust that there is enough and that there's always enough and that you are held, right? So that's why the the body work is important. And then the spiritual aspect is like the conversations with the ancestors. Like there was, when I was doing my deep money work, I had conversations with my ancestors every day, and they were very clear to me. They said very clearly to me, that like it was like they sacrificed so that we, and me, but also like this generation, women, right? Femmes, like, yes, step into your pleasure, like have it, enjoy it. Like, don't just give it all away, or don't live this life of like service without like giving to. No, enjoy it. Like have that sensual, slow life. Really, like we sacrifice so that you didn't have, like you don't have to. Like they were very, very clear with me on that. So I'm just like, okay, I just that's my mission. And my mission is like whether or not there's a lot of money in my bank or not, that experience of pleasure that remains. That is my consistency as much as possible, right? Because it's like I get shaken up too, but as much as possible, that's like, yes, like this beautiful glass of lemon water is my pleasure right now. Talking to you is my pleasure right now. Yeah.
Oh, that's so beautiful, Isha. I've had experiences like that as
Yeah.
well. And I'm sure those who are tuning in to sit and have tea with us right now maybe have had those experiences too. And it's like, actually, when you were talking about shame and then peace, I had this epiphany. Do you know the vibrational scale of emotion?
Yes.
So it's really cool because it's not like woo woo, okay? It's measured, like it's measurable.
It's
It's a little bit,
science.
it's science, okay? And so this vibrational scale, and anybody could look it up very easily online. What was really surprising to me when I first saw it was that, okay, so we would deduce that, like, sure, guilt and shame are the lowest vibration, but I would have thought that joy would be the highest
Mhm.
vibration, when in fact, the highest vibration is dun dun dun. It's peace.
Oh, I didn't know that one.
Yeah. And so
Okay.
that was so beautiful when when you talked about what happens when the charge dissipates and it goes from the lowest vibration that we can experience to peace. And so
Yeah.
when we talk about this is actually feeling like a super actionable item for us to take away from this conversation in moments when you're feeling these states, becoming the observer to just allow the charge to
Yes.
unhook.
Yes.
And it can feel so simple, but it's so profound.
Yeah, and I think the place where we often don't give ourselves permission is to really feel all the way through. We'll feel a little bit, but because we don't have the tolerance level, because we're telling ourselves stories about it, we clamp down on the feeling. So we don't let ourselves really experience the shame, right? Because it feels so awful. It feels like we're assaulting ourselves. But if you're not getting entangled in the thoughts, then you can really hold space for it. That is
Yeah.
like the big difference for me. And then you alchemize it through movement, or you just take a walk outside. Like it can be that simple. You know, for me, I like, because I feel my emotions very intensely, like I need like a bicycle or something. I need to like pedal, 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 you know, kind of thing, or lift weights, you know, and feel a sense of power as I'm feeling like this, right? Whatever the happens to be. Yeah.
Well, so this seems to be an emerging theme, this idea of movement, right? We're talking about somatic practices, but also moving money, that money is not this static energy that we need to hold on to, scared that someone's going to take it from us. So as important it is, I feel like we're taught to save, save. Like I was taught, my parents always said save, 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 and it felt like
Yes.
I need to hold on to it. But it's
Yes.
not the nature of money. It's not
Right.
the nature of relationships either, right? The more you hold on to love,
Exactly.
you
Yes.
have to let love
Let's
move.
go there. Yeah. Because it is really similar for me. Yes, because of the energy of like he or she is mine or they're mine, right? That's not what love how love wants to flow. Because it is not in flow if that's happening, right? And money also wants to flow in the same way that love does. It wants to like money is very like it's very like flirty. It's like, oh, I want to go over here and I want to go over there and I want to see you and I want to talk to you.
So are you saying money is polyamorous?
Maybe. I definitely got that impression.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of that's how I experience. I mean, I'm sure everybody has their perception, but yeah, I just had the feeling of like the energy of money is very much kind of like a social butterfly, kind of like, ooh, yeah, ooh, let's do this and let's do that. Like it gets excited around like, let's say projects. Maybe for you it's like a social impact project. It's like money gets really excited about that, you know? So just being in that co-creator energy of like you in relationship to money, like, ooh, what can we create together? What can we do together? Can we think of a specific amount that we want to have to do this, to get this done? You know, like have money be your co-conspirator and like your partner in this project. Yeah, that's how I like to
I
think of
love
money.
that. And an energy that's neutral. Like, can we please just stop thinking of money as evil, please? It's neutral. And this is why I'm so passionate about doing the work that we do, because money in the hands of
Yes.
women and femmes affects our families, affects our communities. We know what to do with the money.
Yeah, there's
Every,
actually studies that prove that. There's like
yeah,
studies that have proven that that is true. Yeah.
it's science, okay?
We're bringing the science today.
Well, you and I collaborated on such a beautiful project last year, the Wealthy Woman Vault. It was an explosion in our little corner in our communities. And that was the motto, that's the slogan kind of naturally arose, moving money through the hands of women. It was really, really beautiful.
Yeah.
What was that whole experience like for you?
It was very unique because I had, you know, my husband passed away, my ex-husband passed away just as it was launching. But so there was that, but I think it was this the moving money through the hands of women was a very powerful slogan or tagline for me because that's exactly the way that I experience the the energy of money is really like that. Yep. It's almost like a game of like hot potato, right? It gets passed around and you get to have and you get to have and you get to. So that felt really aligned to me. And it just threw me into this, like I did, you know, deep dive. I was just getting started in financial services, and then there was this flood of women coming in and, you know, wanting financial strategies and really, for me, it was last year was the year where I got really confident with my management skills, where I'm just like, I love, like, for me, it was like the way I think of doing a strategy for someone is like, let me organize your money just like I would organize your closet. Like, I'm going to make little boxes and like little accounts for you here. And I'm going to do this and we're going to put this away. And this doesn't need to be here. We're going to put that over there. You know, that's kind of, that's where I really enjoy that work. So that was a big, huge confidence boost. It changed my identity around money. Yeah. Literacy. It was like a deep dive into literacy. Yeah.
Hmm. And we're gonna do it again.
Oh my God, I'll do it again. And yes, and when the by the time, you listener, you're listening to this, like we're in the launch period of the Wealthy Woman 2024. So yeah, we're right in it. Yeah, and the time of this recording is, a couple weeks prior to opening those doors, but by the time this airs, we'll be in the juiciness of that launch. Yeah, you want
Uh,
to talk about that a little bit?
I mean, yeah, a little bit. It's so neat to hear you say it. Like I have butterflies. And even the word wealthy woman, that phrase is a little bit like, oh, like how does that feel in my body, right? Because like, are we allowed to say that, right? Because wealth is kind of loaded term, much
Hmm.
like, many others. But I would say for me, it was the realization that wealth is actually not about money at all.
Right.
It's about, for me, it's about two things mostly. It's about time, my
Hmm.
ability to have time with my children, my ability to just like have freedom, time freedom. I know that it feels like a unicorn for some people, for many people,
Yeah.
but it is, to me, that's wealth. And the second piece is generosity.
Yes. Ooh, I like that generosity. Yeah. The ability to be generous, the freedom to be generous.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
can
so
feel it.
that's why I'm actually really proud. Even I feel like the name in itself is a bit of a transmission, Wealthy Woman 2024, because it inadvertently asks the question of like even you listening, how do you feel if you were to buy a ticket to an event called Wealthy Woman 2024? It's kind of like, am I allowed at that club? Am I wealthy? Do I have the permission to even dream that I can be? Is it
Right.
in the cards for me to be a wealthy woman? Does it feel achievable? Is that a dream of mine? Or do I kind of secretly or not so secretly despise women who are like people who are wealthy, but then I want women to be wealthy? It's kind of like, oh, I don't know how I feel
Yeah,
about
yeah.
this.
I can already feel like the scramble of, all of
And I
these.
like that, right? Like we're
Yeah.
shit disturbers in
Yeah.
in in the best way.
And when you purchase your ticket, when you decide to come in, you are making a decision that you are wealthy, right? Like regardless of your circumstances, regardless of where you've been and what you've experienced, you're deciding in that moment when you press the button that this is for you, that you get to have it, that you get to
Yes.
live that experience too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Giving yourself permission in that moment. That's how I think of it. You're saying
Mhm.
yes to yourself, like, fuck yes.
Fuck yes. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, you're giving me butterflies. This feels so good. We last year there were over 13,000 people who bought tickets and said yes. So it was a really massive ripple effect on um yeah, on our communities. And this year, I imagine, yeah, we're conservatively hoping to double that number. Everything is virtual, so literally you can
Yeah.
attend from your couch. And last year, so many people were saying, hundreds of people were saying that just even one transmission, any one of the classes or transmissions was worth the ticket price alone, which we're making super duper affordable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What are you doing differently this year? What's different about this year versus last year?
Oh, that's such a good question. A few things. The most important is that we are going deeper. I feel like Wealthy Woman last year we're just getting our feet wet a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
right? We talked about energetics of money, a little bit about crypto, a bit about investing, but
Yeah.
we didn't go too deep. This year is about rolling up our sleeves and saying, okay, let's make an effing plan. Let's make a plan. It's time to make a plan. Like, all, cute. Talking about manifestation practices, it's cute. It's wonderful. It's necessary. But you know what? Put your big girl pants on. Let's make a plan. Because you know
Yeah.
what? I realized, and this may be enough for a while, it was another embarrassing thing to admit, but I did not have a plan. I'm a mother of four. I'm moving and shaking and doing all of these things. I didn't have a plan for my money. And guess what happens when you don't have a plan? We know all, most of us know that. And then, Isha, I noticed that most women I know, even badass, successful, um, high earning leaders, don't have a plan either.
Yeah. Yeah.
What?
I know. I know. And it's this, yeah, I don't even know what to say about it, but in, you know, in this process of like a deepening in financial services and doing plans for people, I'm just kind of like, I've become a geek for structure.
Mm.
Right. And I know that in a lot of spiritual communities, there's this idea of structure being masculine. I'm just like, throw that out the window. I think of like, I don't know, I don't assign a gender to structure. I just think it's hot.
I love it. I know. Well,
I
it's
love a
like
good
you want to
plan,
be
you know?
held.
Yes, exactly. It's being held and it's also holding yourself, right? Like when I did my plan with my advisor Claire, as you know, um, I felt like I felt like I was holding myself in the ways that I always wanted to be held by a partner. I was
Oh,
doing it, and it was just as sexy. It didn't make it any less sexy that it was me. In fact, it was kind of like, oh, I can give that to myself. Like, oh, it was just such and that was my in. That was like, oh, I want to teach other people how to do that, or I want other people to feel that way. That was my yes in that moment of like how empowering that felt, right? We outsource love. We outsource our belonging needs. We outsource like our worthiness to our partners. But in fact, like we can give it to ourselves and we can hold ourselves in the ways that we want to be held by partners, by money. Like we can do that.
that's it. Exact.
Yeah.
Boom. That's it. I know you're getting me so fired up because this right here, and it comes from pain, right?
Yes.
That whole thing of turn your pain into power. Well, we're doing we're
All
doing it.
right.
Yeah, we're doing it in a really
Yeah.
fun, in a super fun way. Super, super
Yeah.
fun way. The event is 3 days. There are transmissions that are kind of TED Talk style every hour on the hour. So
Mhm.
people can tune in anytime. And of course, time zones are a bit tricky, but we've had so many people say over the years, over the last couple of years, that they tune in, like they wake up at 3 in the morning or go to bed. Like they're like, I couldn't tear myself away because it was so fun and inspiring. And there's the music and the prizes, and it's really fun.
Yes.
And
Yes.
this year, this is what I'm nervous and excited about most.
Yeah.
I decided to gather the teachers, so not everyone could travel, but just the teachers I'm putting in a gorgeous villa in the desert to see what will happen if we teach from the same location and like marinate and mastermind. And then we get to really amplify each other's voices, hearts, visions, and teach from that place. So everyone who gets a ticket gets to have the front row seat into this really unique alchemical process of how we all obviously will have conversations about investing and money behind the scenes. What else is really cool? Last year, this woman Gia won the grand prize, which was 11,000 bucks cash. And she it just so happened that she's a single mother of five. That makes me so happy.
Yeah.
And so she was able. We stayed in touch. We became friends. It was really beautiful to watch how she used that money to help build a home in Jamaica for her
Wow.
kids. Of course, she needed much more than $11,000, but it really went a long way. It helped a lot. So that was really beautiful. And she already knows, so it's not much of a surprise. We kept it as a surprise for her for a little while. we are bringing her back. We're flying her to this container with teachers so that this time we can create a beautiful case study and help her, give her a chunk of money again, but this time help her invest it. And I know that most of us are going to see ourselves in some way in her story, whether we're single mothers or not. It's like, what do we actually do? What if we have a little bit of money? What if we have more? How do we allocate it? What do we put it into? And so we're bringing her in, and it just makes me so emotional.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just here shaking my head because I'm just like, shit, man.
So we just booked her ticket and she's coming. So it's gonna be really nice for her, obviously, to have a bed to herself and like to take some rest away from kiddos. But this to me is it. Like this is what I wake up and go to bed dreaming of, is for us to have this light go on that if she can do it, so can I.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Oh my gosh. So if you're listening, we're going to include the links to the Wealthy Woman 2024, obviously in the show notes. All of that is going to be included. Um, Yeah, and so you can find Katya on Instagram at Nurturing Novas. And yeah, we'll see you inside Wealthy Woman 2024. My brain is exploding just thinking about being at that villa. Okay. Like I'm just like, oh shit. I am just like, oh my God. Like, who makes this shit up? You do.
I love it. I love it. I just thought like what would happen if I bring together some of the most brilliant, heart-centered, compassionate creatives
I
in
mean,
the arena, in the field of financial literacy
yeah, it's
that I know,
genius.
like what'll happen.
Yeah, it's genius because, of course, we think of that and we think of, oh, I'm going to bring it all together into one right online. But you're taking it another step by having us be in person, having us experience this.
Each other. Yeah,
Right.
as teachers and as the holders of the wisdom that is needed right now, right? Because there is advice out there that is very much outdated, and
Yes,
then we don't know who to trust, right? So I
exactly. And
really
there's so
wanted
much
to. Mhm.
contradictory information.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Exactly. So this is what's exciting to me. I just want to be around. I did it very selfishly, just for myself. So what do I do,
Totally,
right?
totally.
Yeah, because my hope and prayer is that by creating this container and then allowing the entire world to get a ticket to see, to have the front row seat from their couches all over the world to this alchemical I would say experiment in
It
financial
really
literacy,
is.
that we can distill and come up with a really cohesive, harmonious way to set people on a path and help people create a plan, because every plan is going to be different, right? Your circumstance is different. And the teachers that I'm bringing together, many have, I would say, really unique and complementing views on how to invest, what to invest. So you're really getting like a charcuterie board of some of the most brilliant ideas when it comes to financial literacy. And so you can pick and choose what resonates with you, because we want to empower you, right? Like no one's here to tell you this is how you should invest, because we don't know your situation. We don't
Exactly,
know your
exactly.
risk tolerance.
Right, exactly, exactly. And it's very like the people that you've chosen, are very sort of like emerging, like new emerging voices and new strategies, very much like cutting edge.
Yeah.
Yeah, very exciting. Thank you so much for this conversation. This was like the best tea, the best
I
tea
love
talk
it.
I've had.
I
In
had
such a long time.
kombucha.
Yeah, I had lemon water, but it was hot, yummy tea to me.
Oh,
Thank you
so
so much,
beautiful.
Katya.
I loved it. I'm gonna go dance again.
Awesome. Yes.